In October of 2023, out of the many projects that Tubi announced as part of their upcoming original lineup, one project particularly caught my eye. This film was called Slay and was going to be a vampire comedy starring RuPaul's Drag Race alums Trinity the Tuck, Heidi N Closet, Caramel, and Crystal Method. According to the logline released, the film was about 4 drag queens who, because of a booking mistake, find themselves in a gruff town about to perform at a venue with a mostly unwelcoming audience. But when the venue is attacked by bloodsucking vampires, the crowd looks to the queens to slay and save the day. It sounded like From Dusk Till Dawn, but with drag queens, and I was very excited for it. I always love it when I see drag queens featured in other media that are not competition based. I love RuPaul's Drag Race, and I can safely say I've seen every episode of every franchise and iteration of the show, so I know that a lot of these queens can do so much more than just competing. Some of these queens are trained actors, skilled comedians, musical theater divas, fashion designers, etc. And while a show like Drag Race does allow them to showcase some of that talent, there's just a lot that can go unnoticed and unseen, especially with those awful acting challenges. Every time a queen appears in another television show or movie, or we see them headline a stand-up special or design outfits for other celebrities for red carpets, my heart fills with joy.
Yes, this is custom Gigi Good. It's her first collection.
While TV has been welcoming to drag queens, they have now finally started to see some of them as actors, especially in the last few years. I remember how overjoyed I was when I saw Peppermint guest star in an episode of Pose, where, by the way, Jiggly Caliente was featured too. Just last year, Jinx Monsoon made a splash when she played a Doctor Who villain so fabulously. And Trixie Mattel appeared on an episode of FX's The English Teacher. And Shea Coulee is going to be on Marvel Ironheart's show. It is great to see these queens essentially play fully realized characters and not just be relegated to some random 2-line cameos. I also don't know much about Broadway stuff or theater in general, but I've seen queens like Jinx Monsoon, Nina West, Marsha, Milan, etc. be featured in musicals on stage either Broadway or off-Broadway. But the one area which I wish could get more queens featured is in films. There are not as many films where they even cast actual drag queens in roles of drag queens. I think the last one I remember was Willem, who had a part in A Star Is Born, and Ginger Minj in Dumplin'. Either way, not enough. Which is why Slay got me so excited. Sure, it was a Tubi original, and I know Tubi originals get memed a lot, partly because they are made with low budget, but I personally love Tubi and some of the originals they've done. As a horror fan, Tubi just has such a good catalog of horror films, especially some obscure and weird ones, and their originals recently have been kinda good, with films like Invasive, Killer Body Count, and obviously Slay. After the trailer for Slay was released, I was counting the days until the release of the film. I was so excited that I even emailed Tubi and asked them if I could maybe collaborate with them on TikTok to promote the film. I never got a reply. But despite that, I was still very excited about the film. And then in March of 2024, I watched it. My expectations were very low going in because having watched all these awful acting challenges on Drag Race over the years, I just didn't know what to expect. I thought the film was going to be bad and that they would overtly try to be campy in a way that felt forced and cringy, but boy, I was wrong. The film surpassed every expectation I had. In the film, Trinity the Tuck stars as Mama Souffle, a drag mother to a little drag family comprised of Robin Banks, played by Heidi N Closet, Bella Du Bois, played by Crystal Method, and Olive Wood, played by Caramel. From the very beginning, we see that Mama Souffle and Olive Wood have some tension between them because they disagree with each other on how to run their shows, and their ideas about the performances vastly differ from each other. And then there's Bella, who is sort of ditzy but has a heart of gold and is loved by everyone in the group. While Robin is the pacifist. She wants everyone to get along and is also somewhat seen as a fuck-up as she tends to mess things up a lot. The 4 queens drive their RV to a small town, and we find out that Robin has messed up again, and the queens are now at a small, seedy bar in a small town. The patrons of the bar don't look too pleased when they see them, and tensions arise. They're about to leave, but then they decide against it when they realize that 2 queer patrons are quite happy to see them there. After a performance of WAP and a bar brawl, the queens are getting ready for the next number when suddenly vampires attack the venue, and now it's up to the queens and the bar patrons to work together to survive. I was very impressed by the amount of care writer-director Jem Gerard put into writing these characters. We see that these queens have a shared history between them, and between the conversations and during the quiet parts, we see that there's conflict and some personal issues as well. Immediately, I was drawn in because I didn't expect them to put so much care into creating these characters. I fully expected it to just be superficial, just surface level character writing, but I was just genuinely so impressed by how fleshed out these characters feel. I also think in a way the characters deviate a lot from the queen's actual personas, so it was nice to see them in a different light. Also, even the patrons of the bar are not shown to be fully stereotypical. We get to learn more about these characters as the film goes on, and some of them genuinely become very likable, especially Sheila. We love Sheila.
The vampires still grow fangs if they ain't got no teeth to begin with.
The acting by the queens is also pretty good. The acting challenges on Drag Race require these queens to be over the top, and usually it's more of an overacting challenge. But I liked how in the film, they were allowed to be subtle and inhibit these characters that they were playing. There are moments where the queens get to be loud and boisterous, but it's the smaller subtle moment where the queens truly shine. In one scene in the middle, where the conflict between Mama Soufflé and Olive comes to a head, the acting by Trinity, Cara, and Heidi is well done. Crystal's character is just so sweet, and I love the way Crystal played Bella's ditziness without letting her get too annoying or over the top. The film is also very funny with some awesome one-liners. There's one in particular where Mama Soufflé says,
"We may be creatures of the night, but blood ain't what we're looking to suck."
I laughed so loudly at that. There's also a very meta joke in here about the film's low budget, and that made me chuckle loudly.
You need a huge ass budget to adapt this story, because this shit is insane.
It's just a solidly funny and entertaining movie. Drag Race acting challenges should take some notes. I am not a fan of CGI blood in movies, and the film uses it quite a lot, probably because of its low budget, but aside from that, the horror elements of the film are pretty good. It certainly leans a lot towards humor, but watching these characters survive the night while the vampires lurk outside was pretty fun. I also love when vampires' eyes glow, so that was a nice touch. In a statement about the movie, the director Jem Gerard wrote, "At a time when hate and intolerance towards the LGBTQ+ community is on the rise, I wanted to write a horror comedy with the heart that showcased drag queens and queers as the heroes. Drag queens have always been a symbol of resistance and resilience. So seeing them kick ass against a bunch of blood-sucking vampires felt like a comical yet pointed allegory. With drag bans happening all around us, amongst many things, it just was very great to see these queens and in general queer people be the hero of their own stories. Seeing them come together despite personal issues to fight against outside forces felt great to watch." Gerard, in an interview with Rachel Belwar, said, "I set the movie around the mix-up with the bold buck instead of the bold tuck for a few reasons. It was important for me to shine a light on the real-world animosity drag performers face. Putting our queens in this setting meant I could show their strength and resilience from the get-go. They feel unsafe from the moment they step into the bar. That awareness is like a superpower for them. Olive notices something is up before anyone else does. This setup also allowed me to write a subplot involving a character who's been keeping their true self hidden. No spoilers, but it brings a lot of heart to the action and gore. We feel scared for these queens the moment they step into the bar. The looks they get, the snide remarks, it's all too real, but the queens take it with grace, fight back with humor. A very relatable aspect for all queer people." The film's emphasis on the need for community is also so beautiful. Everyone needs shoulders to lean on. People need to feel seen, and what better way to feel seen than surrounding yourself with people who understand you and love you. In times of hardship, this community of people is who you go to for help. Mama Soufflé and her drag family rely on each other. They work together, live together, and most importantly, survive together. The love between each other gives strength and the feeling of community. In this harsh world, together they're not alone. Similarly, the two queer people in the bar also have found each other. They probably are the only queers in the entire town, so looking out for each other is the only way they can both survive in that town. The need for community isn't just for the queer community, even the patrons of the bar are looking for it. Sheila especially hangs around the bar so that she's not alone. There's one character, and I'm not going to spoil who, but they find themselves because of the strength and the sense of community the queens provide them. Anyway, Slay is just so much fun. If you haven't seen it yet and decide to after this video, then just go in expecting to have fun. The film doesn't take itself seriously, and you shouldn't too. Just let yourself roll along with the fleshed out characters, funny bits, and crazy vampires, and you will have a great time. Remember, it's not that serious unless it's a vampire bite, then it's serious. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.